When we look at the world map today, we see borders, names of countries, and vast oceans. We see a world shaped by human hands. But, if we peel back the layers of history, we find a different story. For thousands of years, humanity was not the master of its own fate. Instead, we were subjects of a much older, silent ruler. Geography. Have you ever wondered why the world's greatest ancient empires, Egypt, Mesopotamia, India, and China, all began in almost the exact same way? They weren't just random clusters of people. They were children of the soil. They were born in the same latitudes, under similar suns, and beside the same types of water. This was not a coincidence. It was a necessity. In the early chapters of our story, humans were free to move, but they were not free to survive anywhere they pleased. The limits of our success were drawn long ago by the mountains, the winds, and the flow of rivers. The first and most fundamental requirement for a civilization is a surplus of energy. And in the ancient world, energy meant food. This is why the cradle of humanity is often called the Fertile Crescent. Consider the Nile, the Tigris, and the Euphrates. These weren't just water sources, they were the first great engineers of society. Every year, like clockwork, these rivers would overflow. They carried nutrient-rich silt from distant mountains and deposited it onto the plains. This was nature's own fertilizer. Because of this, a single farmer could produce enough food to feed 10 people. This surplus is the exact moment civilization begins. When you have more food than you need for today, you no longer need everyone to be a hunter. For the first time, someone could stop looking for food and start looking at the stars. Someone could become a priest, a soldier, a craftsman, or a king. Without the unique behavior of these rivers, there would be no pyramids, no Great Wall, and no written word. But geography does more than just feed us. It shapes how we think. It shapes our gods and our laws. Compare ancient Egypt to Mesopotamia. The Nile was a gentle, predictable river. Because of this, the Egyptians felt safe. Their gods were seen as kind, and their civilization remained stable for 3,000 years. Now, look at the Tigris and Euphrates in Mesopotamia. These rivers were violent, flooding unexpectedly and destroying everything in their path. Furthermore, the land was a flat, open plain with no natural defenses. As a result, Mesopotamia was a land of constant war and invasion. Their gods were seen as chaotic and vengeful. Geography didn't just decide where these people lived, 0.8s, it decided how they viewed the universe. One was a protected fortress, the other was a bloody crossroads. If you draw a line across the globe, you'll notice something startling. Almost all the early successful civilizations were located in a narrow band between 20 and 35 degrees north. This is what historians call the lucky latitudes. In these regions, the climate was perfect. But there was another, hidden advantage: the axis of the Earth. The Eurasian continent spreads from east to west. This means that a seed or an animal in China can easily survive in Europe. Compare this to Africa or the Americas, which spread from north to south. If you take a crop from the north and move it south, it dies, because the climate changes drastically. This geographic luck gave Eurasia a massive head start. It wasn't that the people were smarter. It was that the land was more cooperative. There is one more factor that changed the world forever: the animals we live with. Out of all the thousands of species on Earth, only a handful can be domesticated. You need horses to carry messages, and oxen to pull plows. Eurasia hit the biological jackpot. It had horses, cows, pigs, and sheep. In contrast, the people of the Americas had only the llama, an animal that cannot pull a plow and cannot be ridden into battle. This inequality was not earned. It was inherited from the landscape. As time went on, we learned to fight back. Today, we feel like we have escaped the prison of geography. But we must never forget. The foundations of her everything we are were laid by the earth beneath our feet. Our languages, our religions, and our global power structures were all born from the corridors that nature allowed us to walk through. We are a clever species, and we have traveled far. But if you want to understand the future of humanity, don't just look at our technology. Look at the map. Because the map was the first draft of our destiny. And in many ways, it still is. If this journey through the invisible lines of geography fascinated you, make sure to hit the like button. It helps us reach more curious minds, like yours. Why do you think some regions stayed behind, while others conquered the world? Was it purely luck, or something more? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. And if you want to explore more hidden stories behind our history and our world, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next draft of history.